Hi, I'm Chris Parkin. I'm a rifle reviewer. It's my job. I do it for a living. So I'm not talking about my own guns all the time. Today I'm reviewing this Tikka T3X TAC A1 in the new Coyote finish. Now, being a rifle reviewer, you've got to give somewhat of a balanced critique. Some of them just like to read out endless specification charts on YouTube. It's not my style. There's plenty of information to be had from spec sheets and websites. What I want to do is shoot the rifle for the time I've got it and give you an opinion of what I think about it, why I like it, perhaps why I don't like it. I get to test a lot of the rifles in the same markets. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor, which is of course at the moment the byword for newness, although it's been around for a few years. Nobody seems to be interested in 308s anymore. I can tell why actually, because it is a great cartridge. This is loaned to me by GMK in the UK. They've also loaned me this Steiner M7X scope and given me a nice supply of federal ammunition in various types. So let's get to it, because I'll tell you about it. I'll show you some footage at the zeroing range, and I'll show you some footage shooting at longer distance on steel plates. It's not my rifle. I have them for about 4 or 5 weeks at a time because, like I say, I'm a professional reviewer. And unlike somebody reviewing their own rifle, I won't be spending weeks and weeks and weeks developing hand loads or perfect ammunition. My point is testing it somewhat like a new buyer would get the gun. They'll buy a few boxes of ammo in the shop, try out some different bullet weights. I've got a range here from 95 to 140 grains. I think the market for this rifle errs more towards the 120, 147, envelope, because it's for precision shooting, target, long ranges, steel plates. It's not so much hunting rifle, which isn't to say it's not capable of hunting. The accuracy is there, the energy is there, the bullet choice is there, but I'm not sure it's the kind of rifle you're going to want to cart about, certainly stalking on the hills in Scotland, maybe from a high seat, but it's not going to be too manoeuvrable in the woodland. So let's get to it. I hope you like the review. The T3X is a great action across Tikka's rifle range. It's a 90-degree bolt, but the handle's angle actually quite downward, so it doesn't hit you in the hat when you're trying to cycle it in the shooting position. It's a 2-position safety catch, and rearward locks the bolt for safe carrying. There is also a button at the front to open the rifle. Tikkas are known for their superb triggers. This one's actually a 2-stage, not the single stage. But it's a good one. You can hold it on the 2nd stage, pull through, and here we've got a break at 1246 grams. It's adjustable from 1 to 2 kilos, 1000 to 2000 grams. The magazine is a steel unit. It supplies 10 rounds staggered into 2 columns with a centre feed at the top. The bolt push feeds. Some people are quite interested to know just how much space the magazine has in it. These federal rounds with a 130 grain Berger bullet are using 2.778 inches within that magazine, but you can see from the micrometers here, overall internal size on the magazine allows 2.932 inches, although I would always leave probably a 1/10th gap just to make sure I get perfect feeding. You'll see in the videos later on, feed from the rifle and ejection is more than plentiful. It's smooth going in with no bullet damage. There is actually a very small slope on the top of the front of the magazine follower, which helps angle the bullet into the feed ramp of the barrel chamber. Like any chassis rifle, it's an aluminium stock. It's a fully floating barrel. We've got plenty of space on the fore end for extra accessories, adding Picatinny rails. The Picatinny rail runs full length along the rifle. It's 0 degrees, so there's no inclination on it, but it's not such a problem to get new mounts and things like that, especially uni-mounts, monomounts and things with 5, 10, 20 MOA built in. I'm actually using Burris rings on it, which have got that option of using inserts to add and subtract the inclination you want. I'm a big fan of the magazine system on this Tikka. Left or right-handed, there's an ambidextrous release at the front of the trigger guard. Pop, the mag drops out. I always prefer steel to the P-mags or any other AICS derived system. The P-mags especially tend to swell a bit when stuffed with ammo, and they can become a little bit sticky on the magazine well. No such problem here with the Tikka. Trigger we've described before, great bolt operation. I'll just show you there with the tip of my finger on the trigger guard. I can hold easily through the 1st stage onto the 2nd stage, but obviously more correctly I'm going to use the pad of my finger like this. you can see how easily I am just jumping straight to the pull of the second stage. About 4mm of over travel there. It's a very nice trigger. Bolt release catch is here, but you can probably see we need to fold the stock just to withdraw it. It's no great problem, and more importantly, when fully folded, the stock locks folded until you press the button. Even better than that, when it's locked out straight, no movement, nothing at all. It's very comfortable to shoot and you don't get any vibration or rattle through the gun. There's no problem adding an arca plate on the underside of the forend. There's plenty of mounting points. If it's your own rifle, you're going to bolt it on solidly and fix it, because an arca plate is quite a small compact unit for if you're going to be using tripod sticks with a ball head, fluid head, etc. The Picatinny rail is slightly raised because, like any chassis rifle, the axis of the barrel and recoil is lower down underneath the scope and more direct into your shoulder. The great point is when you're shooting it, and you can see in the video, the muzzle hardly lifts at all. Okay, I'm using a quite light recoiling 6.5 Creedmoor with a moderator that reduces the noise as well as the recoil. But the point is the gun doesn't jump, doesn't flip, and it's okay very much shooting from prone or off the bench, but when you're in improvised positions, especially trying to spot your own bullet impact, keeping your head down on the stock and keeping that gun still and less reactive under recoil is crucial to spot where your rounds are actually going. The cheek piece is adjustable for height, and sadly there's no length of pull adjustment on the recoil pad, but it is an inch thick. It's fairly firm and allows you good consistency when you're loading the bipod for long range precision, avoiding vertical spread. I like the adjustability on the cheek piece, and it's not too fat either, so it does still fit under your cheekbone rather than just pushing your jawbone to one side. I'm not a fan of cheek pieces like that at all, and to be fair, with the rifle mine, like all my own rifles, I would modify the cheek piece anyway, because I prefer a taller, slimmer comb shape that does fit right in the wedge underneath my cheekbone, keeping my head vertical, my eyes level. I just find it gives me better shooting, better spatial awareness, better capability on target. This is the American Eagle ammunition from Federal, 6.5 Creedmoor obviously, and this is the 120 grain open tip match bullet. So I'm going to just pop a few of these on target and chronograph them as well. And those are shooting well. Yeah, I think we can agree that that's quite nice performance, running just below 2,800 feet per second average. They're shooting a little bit to the right, but that's no problem, we're just at the zeroing stage here. Probably put 4 clicks left on there. That's looking like quite a good choice for taking out to some longer distances. This is the Federal premium ammunition now. This is a 130 grain open tip hybrid bullet. This is the Burger bullet. So I would say of the ammunition supplied to me from Federal and American Eagle, this is the most likely to be the one I'll use at the longer distances. But it all has to prove the goods on paper first. So let's move to that right hand zeroing target now. So I think we can clearly tell I dialed the scope the wrong direction. The group's in there. It's probably just about minutes of angle, but actually not as good as the one over to the far left, which was the American Eagle ammunition. Anyway, let's dial these into proper zero now. We can stretch them out to some longer distances. Shooting with quite a hot barrel now. Little test point of impact shift and the group's opening up. I do like to push guns quite hard. I think it showcases them better in the brief test periods I have them for. And that's looking like a pretty tidy group. I've just shot 25 rounds of ammo there in less than 5 minutes. That last group was shot with significant mirage. I was a bit more patient and cautious with those shots, but again, group 4 was with the American Eagle and group 6 was with the American Eagle. And that's shooting very, very well at 2,800 feet per second, pretty much on the nose. I'm going to push that out further now. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. This American Eagle ammunition surprised me a bit. I sort of associated the brand as being slightly inferior to the Federal Premium, but in this rifle, I suppose like any rifle, who knows what they're going to like the best, but it's working extremely well in this T3 TAC, I have to say. Yeah, you can see the group slightly to the right, but I don't mind that because, well, I've just put 9 rounds down in sort of a 5 and a 4 with about a minute, 2 minutes between them while we just check some footage. It's very still conditions, but the rifle I think is well proven to really perform. Bolt manipulation is fast. I'm able to keep my head very still. Backhand just bridging the bag. There's a nice butt hook here, so I've got a really nice sort of layout. And the trigger is excellent. It's a 2-stage trigger, which isn't to everybody's perfect choice, but it is consistent. And to be honest, at the end of the day, you can hold a 2-stage trigger of quality like this actually on that 2nd stage, and you can operate it just like you would a single. So I have no problem with them. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you saw the rifle in action, gave you a bit of an idea of what it looks, shoots like. You can certainly see from the video how easy it is to control and manipulate the rifle. Very good action cycling, great trigger, and I didn't really have any trouble setting up. From starting out, zeroing initially with the 95 grain VMAX bullets from Federal, the ammunition. Printed sub MOA, it's printed sub MOA with everything. Most of my test targets are 100 metres, so it can look a little larger. 10% difference, of course, remember, because MOA is at 100 yards, certainly for the inch factor. Now, I don't tend to shoot rifles more than I absolutely have to, because it is my job, but some rifles are quite enjoyable to shoot, and I will go to the extra effort of moving them out to distance, of course, with limited ammunition quantities and wanting to shoot cleanly in the field. I don't want to be spraying ammunition everywhere. This has been a great one to live with. Zeroed it on paper, chronographed the ammunition, and it was very easy to dial onto target at 400 metres, which you'll see in the video. After shooting most of the competitors at this price point, this is a little bit more expensive, I suppose. Ruger RPRs, the Bergara, B14 HMR is a superb rifle, but quite a lot cheaper than this. And it's good to see that at different price points, say the Bergara at the lowest end of the price bracket, just over £1,000, and this one nearer probably £2,000, just waiting on the exact prices being sent to me. It's good to feel those subtle differences. You know, bolts are a little bit slicker, a little bit smoother, Cerakote finishing and things like that. Of course, this is a full chassis rifle. Bergara do make the BMP, which is about 1500, so closing in on this. But comparing those two exactly, you get quite a lot of similarity. I think this one's been straighter onto paper. It's also been easier on the running period. And most importantly, when I've been cleaning the barrel after the running period, you can tell that these bores, the cold hammer forged, just that little bit slicker, a little bit smoother, better finished. But I think that's fair. I'm not saying anything bad about the Bergara at all. I think it's a great rifle in either the BMP or HMR formats. This is just that next little step up, and I think it outranks a lot of its more popular competition. My only real critique of it is the non-adjustability of the recoil pad for length of pull. Some people will say a 20 MOA, well, the lack of a 20 MOA rail is a very weak point. I'm not really that bothered, because on a big first focal plane scope like this, you've actually got enough travel, you know, 20 odd, 25 mils sometimes for most long range shooting that people call long range. Well, when you actually do get to serious long range and you start moving out beyond 1,000, 1,500 metres, yes, you might want to add an inclined mount. But not necessarily. These Burris mounts will actually give you up to 20 MOA, depending slightly on the ring spacing. And that's going to get you as far as you need to go, generally speaking. I've seen 6.5 Creedmoor shot to 1,500 metres with quite good regularity in what you would call optimum conditions. When the conditions are difficult, it's pushing it a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Sorry some of the film quality isn't as good as it should be, but filming through a spotting scope at 400 metres, especially when you've got very low summer sun, can be very hazy, and of course you've got the problems with very bright areas and dark areas. But you get the idea, and I won't fib you, that was actually my first round, and I was very chuffed to bits that the first round did go straight into the middle, well, maybe a twitch right. The zeroing targets, if I'm self-critiquing here, because I probably had a click right on the scope at 100 metres, I think I was chasing my own bullet holes and aiming back at my, the black spot in the target where the previous bullet had gone. Hence the left to right stringing a little bit. But the American Eagle 120 grain bullet certainly was the most suited to this rifle at this point in time. I suspect a lot of buyers will be hand loading and probably going to choose 140, 143, 147 grain bullets. The higher ballistic coefficient does take advantage of the superb nature of the Creedmoor cartridge. Modest burn characteristics, modest recoil, economical to shoot. But that's not to say anything again, and I will repeat that the Federal with 130 grain Berger bullet was the one I thought would be the best. It's certainly on paper, it has the best characteristics, but you just cannot account for the fact that the American Eagle just preferred the harmonics on this barrel. It's a 1 in 8 twist. Either bullet, the 120, the 130, or even 140 should be fine, maybe even 143, 147. I will say from a lot of experience shooting 6.5 55 Swede and 260 Remington over the years, there's a noticeable difference in the critical effect of the tiny variations in recoil when you go between 120, 123 or up to the 140, 147 range. It's not something that you'll pick up easily. You'll just think the rifle works a bit better with the 120s. But I've noticed, especially on fast fire events like McQueen's, where you're just compressing everything into that tiny little bit of time. Loading the bipod, recoil control with the 120s, it can just make that tiny little bit of difference. But these are all things to play with your own rifle. And I will say this, if you've got the money to spend, nothing about this is anything other than superbly pleasing. And it's on my list as one of those 5 rifles I would very happily own and use day in, day out, because it gave me no problems, no headaches, and for want of a spacer on the butt pad, maybe go an extra 1/4 inch longer because it's only hovering at 14 inches. It's pretty much perfect. So I hope you've enjoyed the review. Subscribe, keep your eye on my channel, because I don't do loads of reviews. I just review guns that I think are well worth talking about. I don't actually get paid for doing video reviews. Magazine work is my priority, but this one was well worth talking about because I would definitely promote its use. So, happy shooting.